Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Through Africa. It is still me, your host, Mercy Bamigbola, and today we're joining you again live from our studios here in Ankara, Türkiye, to talk about pressing issues to the African continent. And as you know, on this show, we talk about a wide range of topics from politics to history, from agriculture to health, to technology, and to the youth. Now, in today's episode, we'll be talking about the youth and their participation in governance in Africa. We'll talk about how we can enhance this and bring more youth into the political scene. And to discuss this topic, I'll be speaking with Azeez Ajifowoke, who is a social worker and youth activist. Hello, Azeez.
Hello, Mercy. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
You're welcome to the show once again. We've had you once before, so it's a great opportunity to have you again.
Thank you.
Now, let's start by assessing the current state of, the youth and their involvement in governance in Africa. What would you say about the participation of youth in generally governance and politics?
Okay, thank you for that question. According to the African Charter, youths are people between the age range of 15 to 35 years. And it's so sad that most of the position for youths are being occupied by people beyond this age. The number is not encouraging at all through the African communities and, African continents. We are hearing since when I was small that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. We don't know when that tomorrow will come, but the numbers is not encouraging at all. The position minister for youth and social development in some countries, you see people over 45, 50 occupying those positions, which is not ought to be so. We need youth that it is as defined by African Youth Charter, age 15 to 35, to start occupying that role. That is when you can know that youth are being involved in decision making. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much. You've just talked about, the range of people who are supposed to be occupying our political space and the reality that we have. And we can say that there's a huge dissonance between that, between that number. So, What do you think are the key barriers preventing youths from engaging in governance or from participating in politics as it relates to their country?
Okay, coming from Nigeria, from the perspective of Nigeria, some political position in Nigeria, if you don't have the money, the resources, some political posts, before you can get a ticket, they are telling you you have to have millions of naira. Where do you want a youth that is still trying to survive? Where do you want that youth to have that money, to run for a political post? The money to run a political position now, it's really on the high range. And also, what another thing I also feel is the challenge is that they always say that youth are not ready to lead, Have you ever given them a position and, they mess up? It's when you give them, if you don't involve the youth, you can't say that, they are not ready. What we have been hearing that the youth are not ready. And also this political post, if you don't have the resources, you can't run for the political positions in most African communities. So you need the money. And some of this older generation, they are not ready, willing to leave these positions for the youth, upcoming youth, to start engaging. That is what I feel is the challenge,
All right, thank you. You mentioned 2 points, and as far as I do understand, you've talked about, the financial incapabilities, and then another barrier is youths being accused of not being ready. Are these only the two, reasons why youths are not being engaged in their communities?
There are many. I just talked about two out of many challenges, that youth are facing. We can talk about also we youths, are we also making efforts, making sure that we are being seen in the political, participation, coming from Nigeria now, when there are program town hall meeting for you to attend, you too are not participating in those key decisions. When you can't criticize what you don't know. Is when we are, participating in those activities and engaging. Another thing I see is poverty. Poverty is another challenge. Someone that is still trying to feed, to find something to a daily bread. Would that person have time to even, go into politics? And the orientation, people are not, the orientation that we are having is that, those political posts is for older generation. Our youth are not ready to occupy them. And there are many more. I just, mention few of them. That's what I mentioned.
All right, there, Aziz. Thank you. Thank you there. Now, do you think the African governments are genuinely concerned, or are they genuinely committed to, involving our young people in decision making? As you have said in your introduction, we've always been hearing that phrase that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. But are governments really doing enough to bring the youth into the political scene?
Okay. To be in all fairness and honestly, recently, the government are making all efforts due to youth, on social media, try to, and in Nigeria now we have NGO that are not too young to rule. Some NGOs like that are, advocating for youth participation in government. So we see now in the last Nigeria's election, we see that some political roles, we have young people in those political positions now. So the government, and also, like I said, in all fairness, our president, creating those enabling environments for you to participate in the decision making. The ball is now in our hands to decide if we want to participate. There are many other activities that being created by government so that you can volunteer and participate in those roles.
Thank you there, Aziz. Now, you talked about you mentioned a lot of points there, but one thing I'm taking away from this is creating an enabling environment such that everyone is able to air their grievances without being told what or what not to do, and being directed, being guided on the right way to do it. Now, how are digital tools and social media shaping the youth's engagement in, governance today? A lot of youths these days, we are on social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, which is now called X. How do you think these tools are shaping our engagement in governance today?
Yes, the social media is a powerful tool in the hand of the youth. Recently, there are some events that has happened, some years back, maybe last 5 years, like in Nigeria, NSAS, in other countries, that youth are now using the social media, Twitter, X now, formerly known as Twitter. When youth are not comfortable with any injustice, we go to the social media, use the social media to call the government to order. If we need anything, we are using the power of social media, and it has been, to be honest, it has been useful, in making sure that we hold the government accountable. And government don't have any choice now than to involve youth. They feel they know that they cannot, they don't have any other choice than to involve the youth because of the social media. The social media, Instagram, X, they have been so useful in calling the government and holding them accountable by youth. So youth are leveraging on technology to hold government accountable, and it has been helpful, and making youth to participate and know what is available for us youth. So, and also let me add this, before some position that is available, at the government level, you hardly see it on the social media. But now that the youths are involved with them, they don't have any other choice than to be using all these digital tools to be communicating with the youth. So it has been helpful.
All right, the social media has been very helpful, in communicating what the people want. And we know that this is, a great part of democracy, having the freedom of speech, being able to, communicate what you expect your government to do for you. Now, I want to also ask, you talked about holding our government accountable. How would you recommend to a youth, how would you tell a youth to hold their government accountable? Because most of the times what we see these days is the government accusing the youths of using the social media in a wrong way, spreading fake news and spreading misinformation or disinformation. So in what way can we hold our government accountable?
So thank you. I always say something that you can't criticize what you don't know. If government are organizing youth programs and when youth are not there to engage and go for those programs, how do we hold them accountable? Is when we participate in those programs, and see them one-on-one. They are in some national assembly, they call for public hearing. When we go to those public hearings that you can have access to all these consistently representing government or government elected or office holders, when we see them one-on-one, is when we can hold them accountable. It's not there's some we need that. We need to participate in government engagement. It's always on social media. You see them post it that this is government town hall meeting with the youth, and you realize that this town hall, instead of you to have youth in the town hall meeting, you see older generation. They are still the one that will still attend those meetings. We as youth, we need to be attending those town hall meetings. Any engagement that the government make it public that they want youth to come and participate. We need to start participating in those meetings and activities. So that's how we can start holding them accountable.
Exactly. That's how we can. You've mentioned it all. I would say we need to start holding our government accountable. We need to start demanding what is expected of us. So I'd just like you to say a final word, maybe to the youths watching or to anyone watching who is thinking, do I really have to, get into politics? Do I really have to be engaged in the governance of my country? What would you like to say to that person?
Okay, what I will say is, firstly, you can't criticize what we don't know. And to be a leader, a youth leader, you don't actually necessarily need to be in government. There are other ways that what you are doing, government will notice you. Just imagine you are volunteering, working in the environmental space, working in the child protection space, or youth or leadership. When you are making that impact, the government will even have to call you. So we don't necessarily need to be fighting for the political post. But when you are making impact in your own small space, you will get known, you will get noticed. So that is what I would say. Start engaging in those volunteering and activities, and you will get known by governments.
Definitely start engaging in activities. Thank you very much for speaking with us today on youth participation, and especially in governance as it relates to our African countries. It's our pleasure having you on the show today, Azeez.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge with us.
Yeah.
We've been speaking with Azeez Ajifowoke, who is a social worker and youth activist. joined us from Nigeria to speak to us on youth participation in governance. And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. It is still me, your host, Mercy Bamigbola, and we've talked about the youth today, and I think that you have learned one or more thing today. So if you'd like to send those messages or questions or anything related to the show today, you can kindly do so on our WhatsApp number, which is always on the screen. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay safe and goodbye.